Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber kind of ask me some questions about their manual labor job, which I'll flip in here. And to summarize it, he laughed and said, "You're right. You've talked in the past about how training in the gym isn't hardcore. People with actual manual labor jobs, their life is a lot more hardcore. Training really isn't that big of a deal unless you're being stupid about it, injuring yourself." And again, he's having problems recovering. He's in pain. He wants to get some advice on what he can do. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about this. This is a topic I'm probably going to have to do a few times a year. I did one, I think, a couple months ago really covering this. And I think it's an important topic because people need to remember people who do manual labor are a very large segment of the population. They're an essential segment of the population that's not going away anytime soon. In no time in the near future in just about any country where this gets watched, because pretty much everything that you eat was created with manual labor. Your vehicle was created with manual labor. Every machine involved, even with getting gasoline to your car, involved manual labor in the maintenance, building, repair of that machinery, and the actual pumping of the gas and oil and everything. That is all manual labor. Your house was built with manual labor. So pretty much, if a large segment of the population doesn't do manual labor, our society completely collapses and we turn into basically the Middle Ages again. If not below that, because you need that to even grow food. Agriculture is manual labor. People who grow your crops and who raise your food are manual laborers. And these people need training advice too. That's one of the big things I point out. A lot of people focus so much on high training volume and all these crazy workloads. And you know what? That's really stupid for people who do manual labor, because most of the benefits you get from your workloads and the work capacity and metabolic fatigue you get in that style of training, you're getting from your job already. So your only real goal from your training should be, if you are a manual laborer of any type, whether it's skilled or unskilled, irrelevant, because people need to realize there is a difference between the two. Someone who works on a hydrogen compressor is a skilled laborer. Some of them make over 100 grand a year, by the way, but it's still manual labor. So, you need to focus purely in the gym. Your goal should be strength training. That's all you should care about. Be in and out of the gym quick. You need to get strong. Focus on strength so that you get the full benefits of strength training and let your manual labor handle your metabolic fatigue. If you're not having to recover from additional high volume workloads in the gym, you're going to be a lot better off as far as adapting to the manual labor. Also, what people have noted who've done this stuff, there have been many write-ups and examples I've seen given of years ago someone had said, you know what, if you go get a job even working for the trash collection company and you're on the garbage truck and you're picking up cans every day, and again, that's an essential job. If someone doesn't do that job, all of us are screwed. All of us are screwed. Someone's got to pick up our trash. That the first few days you do that you're completely dragging. You're sore, you hurt, you feel weak, but within 2 to 3 weeks of doing it, you're hopping along doing it just as effectively as everyone else. Why? Because your body adapts to the workload. You adapt to it. You build work capacity. The human body is amazing at endurance. We're better at endurance than we are with strength. We're an endurance-based species. You can adapt to those workloads pretty quickly, but you have to give them time and you have to make them your top priority for a little while. Meaning, if you're going and busting your ass in the gym at the same workload you were doing before in the gym and trying to do any sort of high volume, and then you go do a manual labor job, whether it's laying bricks or working on that garbage truck or being a roughneck out in an oil rig, you're going to not recover. You're going to be sore longer, and it's going to take you extra weeks to adapt to the workload because you're trying to adapt to a totally new thing that puts more work capacity and more fatigue on your body than your gym workouts do, while trying to maintain a really strenuous training protocol in the gym. It's not going to work well for you. You're going to get more sore, you're going to get more tired, and it's going to take you longer to adapt. You can only adapt to so many things at once. When you're adapting to a new manual labor job, I would say the first month there, quit focusing on making gains in the gym. Step back and maintain. Don't try to add weight. Don't try to add reps. Don't try to run any sort of new periodized program. You could run you a little bit of concurrent periodization, a little bit of undulating periodization, but don't try to increase anything. Cut your volume in half. Maybe cut your volume in a third. And I would ask you to maintain your strength on the squat, deadlift, to maintain the size of your arms. Do you really need more than one set of curls, one set of deadlifts, one set of squats in a session? Probably not. You could probably come in and do 3 full body sessions in 30 minutes. focusing on your main lifts and just maintaining your strength on them the first month you're at a new manual labor job, and you will keep 100% of your strength, 100% of your gains, but you won't be focusing on adapting and growing from that training, and that will free up your body's resources to focus on adapting to the new workload. And what you're going to find, if you're someone who lifts weights with a proper method, once you get used to the workload, you've been doing that manual labor job 6 months or a year, and then you realize that your training needs to be scaled back a bit, and you can focus just on the basic strength ends of it, and then you'll obviously gain muscle hypertrophy from the combination. Both things are going to add to your muscle size because you're getting metabolic fatigue and work capacity from your job. You can focus on basic strength, even in the 3 to 8 rep range mostly, something like that, in the gym at fairly low volume, and focus on peak strength. And that combination, you're going to find that probably at the end of that year, you're going to be bigger, stronger, and in better shape than you were before you started that job. You're ultimately going to find that job will help you get into better shape. You're going to have better conditioning, better strength stamina, everything. As a result of combining those two together, because basically your manual labor becomes your general physical preparedness work. It becomes GPP work for you. And that has a lot of benefits. So that's kind of the way to go. And as far as managing pain, managing recovery, you need to do the things that I said. If you take those steps, it's going to help tremendously. It's going to help tremendously with that. Absolutely tremendously. On top of that, you're worried about NSAIDs, and what I would say, NSAIDs are fine. And NSAIDs meaning things like ibuprofen, because the meta-analysis we have on NSAIDs shows that they do not hurt muscle gains. It's been studied. There were studies both directions over the years. The last meta-analysis I know about was done 2 to 3 years ago, and they concluded the overall consensus was that the majority of the studies showed no negative gains to your muscle gains or strength from using NSAIDs. They were perfectly safe for that. They weren't going to hurt your progress. You shouldn't be worried about using them. What you need to consider with NSAIDs, though, is that what is causing the pain? Is it some overreaching in your training or some bad technique in your training that's causing pain? And if you're using the NSAIDs as a crutch, a Band-Aid fix for fixing what's wrong with your training, it will increase your chances of injury over time. That's where your real concern is. That's the problem with them there. But if it's because you're having to adapt to manual labor that you can't really get out of because this is your job, then use them for a little while, and that's fine. Pop them. Don't feel pain. It'll let you function better at work, but don't abuse them. Stay within the recommended amounts. And because they are hepatotoxic, they do put strain on the liver. If you're a drinker, you need to curtail your drinking for that time. No binge drinking. A little bit's fine, but if you're going out getting drunk every weekend, it's not only going to inhibit your recovery and adaptation to all of this, but it's also going to elevate your liver enzymes further, which is going to be a problem with all the NSAIDs, ibuprofen, or whatever you happen to be using. Ibuprofen is the most common one, so I always bring that up. It's going to be problematic for you. And you know what? You probably aren't going to need the NSAIDs more than about a month. If you just avoid getting drunk, you get plenty of sleep, plenty of food, and you scale your training back to focus on maintenance with minimum volume, and you do a manual labor job for a month while changing your training like that and taking the NSAIDs at the end of that month, I can almost promise you, you're not going to need them anymore. Once all your connective tissue and your body adapts to the workload from your job, you're going to be okay. The pain's going to go away. It's all going to be manageable. You're not going to need that Band-Aid fix anymore. But again, I want to highlight the point that if the extra pain is being caused by overreaching in the gym or bad training techniques or muscle imbalances, the NSAIDs are going to be a problem for you. You need to make sure that your training is on point. People who do manual labor jobs, all right, they're not going to have always the same recovery to deal with stupid training in the gym. You need to make sure your training is intelligent, you're not using bad technique, you're not loading things incorrectly, you're not overreaching. It's going to be problematic for you with that type of job. So again, I always have to re-highlight that point for people in that situation. It's fine if you have a desk job or you're just a college student and the gym is the most strenuous thing you do. You have more wiggle room with just being stupid with what you do in the gym. All right, that's just the way it is. You have more wiggle room for stupidity. When you're doing a hard physical job that it does use a lot of your recovery up, that does put a little bit of extra stressing things on connective tissue and everything else, you don't have wiggle room nearly as much to be really stupid with what you do in the gym. So please make sure that you're not doing so. You need to keep workloads manageable, pay attention closer to deloads, and make sure you're using proper technique on exercises that don't further inflame connective tissue or injure joints. So that pretty much sums it up. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.